Hello, my good friends. How are you today? May God bless you all. I will not introduce anything. You guys watch the video and feel it, then let's evaluate together. The Fairmont Hotel's grand ballroom in San Francisco glittered like a jewelry box, all crystal chandeliers and gold-trimmed walls. Jazz hummed from a live quartet, the saxophone weaving through the chatter of Silicon Valley's elite. Men in tailored tuxes clinked glasses of Napa Valley wine, while women in sequined gowns tossed their heads back, laughing at jokes that weren't that funny. The air smelled of money, cologne, perfume, and ambition. At the center of it all stood Ethan Caldwell, the 32-year-old CEO of Apex Innovations, his sharp jawline catching the light as he adjusted his tie. He was a man who commanded rooms, but tonight his blue eyes weren't scanning for investors or rivals. They were locked on one person, Maya Jackson. Maya stood near the edge of the stage, her heart pounding so hard she swore it could drown out the music. Her black silk dress hugged her curves, a far cry from the baggy blazer and cap she'd worn for weeks. Her curly hair, usually tucked away, spilled over her shoulders, and her brown eyes darted nervously. She wasn't supposed to be here, not like this, not as herself. For weeks, she'd been Marcus, her twin brother, dodging suspicion and defying odds to keep her job at Apex. But now, with every eye in the room on her, she felt like a deer in headlights. And Ethan? He was about to flip her world upside down. He stepped to the microphone, his presence silencing the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, voice smooth as bourbon, "I owe you a story. 5 years ago, someone tried to ruin me. They slipped something in my drink at a gala just like this one. I woke up with no memory, a bracelet I didn't recognize, and a hole in my life I couldn't explain." He held up a silver bracelet, a tiny star charm glinting under the lights. Murmurs rippled through the room. "Tonight, you'll see the truth." A massive screen behind him flickered to life. Grainy security footage played. A younger Chloe Preston, blonde and calculating, pouring a vial into a glass of champagne at a crowded event. She handed it to a waiter, who passed it to Ethan. The crowd gasped as the video cut to Chloe dragging a dazed Ethan into a hotel room, room 2408 at the Grand Pacific. Maya's stomach twisted. She'd been there that night, a temp waitress. Her own drink spiked too. She'd woken beside Ethan, terrified, and fled, leaving behind her mother's bracelet, the same one he held now. "Chloe Preston thought she could control me," Ethan said, his gaze cutting to Chloe, who stood frozen in a white gown, her green eyes wide with panic. She faked a connection, used her father's money to bully her way into Apex. But she didn't count on one thing, the woman who was really in that room with me. He turned to Maya, his voice softening. "Maya Jackson, you're the one I've been looking for. You're the mother of my son, and I'm not letting you walk away again." The room erupted. Guests clapped, some shouted, others whispered furiously. Chloe lunged for the projector, shrieking, "This is a lie!" But security grabbed her, her gown trailing like a defeated flag. Maya's knees buckled, but Ethan was there, catching her arm. His touch was steady, warm, and, impossibly, no dizziness, no collapse. For years, Ethan's rare condition had made him allergic to women's touch, sending him crashing to the floor. But not with Maya, never with her. "Marry me," he said, low enough for only her to hear. "Right here, right now." Maya's breath caught. Tears stung her eyes, but she laughed, shaky and bright. "You're out of your damn mind, Ethan." "Guilty," he grinned, slipping the bracelet onto her wrist where it clicked against its twin, the one she'd worn since that night. "Say yes, Maya." "Be my miracle." From the crowd, Nia Brooks, Maya's best friend, hollered, "Girl, say yes before I do it for you. This man's got a penthouse and a heart." Laughter broke the tension, and Maya, heart racing, nodded. "Yes, you lunatic. Yes." The officiant, A wiry guy in a black suit who'd been loitering by the abandoned wedding setup scrambled forward, fumbling with his book. Ethan took Maya's hand, his thumb brushing her knuckles, and the crowd cheered as the vows began. "Do you, Ethan Caldwell, take Maya Jackson to be your wife?" the officiant asked. "I do," Ethan said, his voice unwavering, eyes never leaving hers. "And you, Maya Jackson, take Ethan Caldwell to be your husband?" "I do," she replied, her voice steady despite the chaos in her chest. The kiss that followed was electric, Ethan's lips warm, firm, pulling her into a world where nothing else mattered. No dizziness, no fear, just him. The crowd roared, glasses clinking, and Naya yelled, "That's my girl! Now where's the cake?" As security dragged a screaming Chloe away, Maya leaned into Ethan, whispering, "You're gonna regret this when you see my laundry pile." He chuckled, kissing her forehead. "Worth it." That was 3 weeks ago. Or rather, 3 weeks from where the real story starts. Rewind to a foggy San Francisco morning, when Maya Jackson was not a blushing bride-to-be, but a nervous wreck playing a dangerous game. She stood in the sleek lobby of Apex Innovations, a tech empire perched on the edge of the bay, its glass walls reflecting the Golden Gate Bridge. At 27, Maya was a force, smart, stubborn, with a laugh that could light up a room. Her dark skin glowed under the fluorescent lights, but her curly hair was stuffed under a baseball cap, her chest bound flat, and her brother's ID badge hung heavy around her neck. She was Marcus Jackson, at least for now. Maya's twin brother, Marcus, was supposed to be here, starting his new job as Ethan's assistant. The gig paid $50,000 a month, enough to cover the medical bills piling up for their nephew Leo, a 4-year-old with a rare allergic condition that mirrored Ethan's. But Marcus was laid up in their cramped Oakland apartment, coughing through a brutal flu, begging Maya to take his place. Just for a week, he'd croaked over FaceTime. "Leo needs those treatments, sis. You're tougher than me anyway." Tough, maybe. But insane? Definitely. Forging Marcus's ID, faking his voice, binding her curves to pass as a guy. It was a tightrope walk over a shark tank. But Leo's big brown eyes, his tiny hand clutching her finger, had sealed the deal. So here she was, palms sweaty, stepping into the lion's den. The elevator dinged, and Maya strode into Ethan's office, a minimalist masterpiece with floor-to-ceiling windows and a desk that probably cost more than her rent. Ethan looked up from his laptop, his blue eyes sharp but warm, like a summer sky before a storm. His dark hair was slightly mussed, and his rolled-up sleeves showed forearms that suggested he didn't just push paper. Maya swallowed hard. This was the guy who'd keel over if a woman so much as brushed his arm. She had to be careful. "Marcus Jackson?" Ethan stood, extending a hand. "Welcome to the circus." Maya froze. Shaking his hand was a death sentence for her cover. The job posting had been clear. Male assistant required due to CEO's condition. One touch, one blackout, and she'd be toast. But Ethan waited, hand outstretched, his gaze steady. No turning back. She grabbed his hand, bracing for chaos. Nothing happened. Ethan's grip was firm, his expression calm. No collapse, no flinch. He grinned, a flash of warmth breaking his CEO cool. "Strong handshake for a newbie," he said, clapping her shoulder. Maya nearly jumped out of her skin but nodded, muttering a gruff, "Thanks, boss." Her heart pounded. Why wasn't he reacting? Was her disguise that good? Or was something else at play? She shoved the thought down, focusing on the stack of files Ethan handed her. "First meeting's in 10, he said. "Don't let the suits scare you. They're all bark, no bite." "Got it," Maya said, her fake baritone cracking slightly. She adjusted her cap, praying he didn't notice the sweat beading on her forehead. The boardroom was a shark tank. all polished wood and egos. Ethan paced, tossing out ideas for Apex's new cloud security platform, while Maya scrambled to take notes. She was good, quick, efficient, catching details others missed. But then disaster struck. A pen slipped from her hand, rolling under the table. She ducked to grab it, and her cap brushed Ethan's leg. He paused mid-sentence, glancing down. Maya shot up, face burning, expecting the worst. But Ethan just chuckled, picking up where he left off. She exhaled, shaky. Maybe she could pull this off. Maybe he didn't notice the faint curve of her jaw or the way her voice wobbled when she spoke too fast. But across town, trouble was brewing. Chloe Preston lounged in her Pacific Heights penthouse, sipping a martini and scrolling through her phone. At 28, she was the darling of San Francisco's elite, daughter of Victor Preston, a venture capitalist with more money than morals. Her blonde hair gleamed under the skylight, and her green eyes narrowed at a photo of Ethan Caldwell. She'd wanted him since business school, his power, his name, his everything. The allergy thing was a hurdle, sure, but Chloe didn't care. Apex was her ticket to the top, and Ethan was the prize. Then she saw it, a company memo about Ethan's new assistant, Marcus Jackson. The name hit like a slap. Marcus and Maya Jackson were her half-siblings, the unwanted kids of Victor's first wife, a black jazz singer he'd cheated on and ditched decades ago. Chloe's mother had taken over, raising her as the golden child while the Jacksons faded into obscurity. Now one of them was cozying up to Ethan. She smirked, tossing her phone aside. If Marcus thought he could waltz into Apex and steal her future, he was dead wrong. She'd unmask him, ruin him, and make sure Ethan never looked his way again. Back at Apex, Ethan leaned against his office window, watching the bay shimmer in the dusk. Maya hovered nearby, organizing his schedule. She was good, better than his last assistant, a guy who'd quit after calling the job a freak show. Ethan couldn't blame him. Running a tech empire while dodging women like landmines was no picnic. But Marcus? He was different. That handshake stuck with him. No jolt, no dizziness, nothing. 5 years at Apex, and every woman who'd brushed past had sent him crashing. Not Marcus. Ethan rubbed his temple, puzzled. Maybe the allergy was fading. Maybe he was imagining it. Or maybe, just maybe, this new assistant was hiding something big. Maya left the office that night, cap pulled low, heart racing. She'd survived day one, but Ethan's steady gaze lingered in her mind. He didn't collapse. He didn't suspect yet. Every step felt like a tightrope walk. Leo needed her to keep this job, and Marcus needed her to stay sharp. But Chloe's shadow loomed, a threat she couldn't see coming. The city lights glittered as she boarded the BART train home, whispering to herself, "I can do this." She had to, for Leo, for Marcus, and maybe, though she'd never admit it, for the strange, quiet thrill of standing next to Ethan Caldwell. Hey, if you're loving Maya and Ethan's wild ride, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Can Maya keep her secret under wraps? Or is Chloe about to blow it all up? Let me know what you think. Maya Jackson's second day at Apex Innovations started with a triple shot espresso and a prayer. She'd survived her first day posing as her twin brother Marcus without Ethan Caldwell collapsing in a heap from his bizarre allergy to women. But survival wasn't success. Not yet. Leo, her 4-year-old nephew, needed those pricey treatments, and this $50,000 a month assistant gig was her only shot at saving him. She adjusted her baseball cap, checked that her chest binder was snug, and muttered, "Day 2, don't screw me over," as she stepped into the gleaming Apex lobby. The office buzzed like a hive, all clacking keyboards and overpriced sneakers. Maya weaved through the crowd, clutching a stack of reports for Ethan's morning meeting. Her fake baritone was getting better, but every "Hey, Marcus!" from a passing coworker made her stomach lurch. She was a black woman from Oakland playing a high-stakes game in a world of tech bros and glass ceilings. One wrong move, and she'd be outed. Or worse, fired. Ethan's office door loomed ahead, and Maya took a deep breath before knocking. "Come in," his voice called, warm but clipped, like he was already 3 emails deep. She stepped inside, hit by the now familiar view. San Francisco Bay sparkling beyond the windows, the Golden Gate Bridge a red smudge in the fog. Ethan sat at his desk, tie loosened, dark hair falling into his eyes as he frowned at his laptop. He looked up and his grin caught her off guard, open, almost boyish. "Marcus, you're early. Good man," he said, standing to grab a coffee from the machine in the corner. "Sleep okay, or did my schedule scare you off?" Maya forced a chuckle, keeping her voice low. "Slept like a rock, boss. Your schedule's scary, but I've seen worse." Like her landlord's eviction notices, but she kept that to herself. Ethan laughed, pouring her a cup without asking. "Black, right? Figured you're not a latte guy." She nodded, taking the mug, careful not to brush his fingers. "You nailed it. Thanks." Her heart did a little flip, not because of the coffee, but because Ethan was watching her, his blue eyes curious, like he was trying to solve a puzzle. She shifted, tugging her cap lower. "Stay cool, Maya. He doesn't know." The morning meeting was a marathon, a boardroom packed with suits droning about cloud encryption and market shares. Maya sat in the corner, scribbling notes, her eyes flicking to Ethan as he commanded the room. He had a way of making jargon sound like poetry, his hands gesturing like a conductor. But trouble was brewing. Chloe Preston, the blonde viper with a penthouse and a vendetta, swept in halfway through, her heels clicking like a countdown. "Ethan, darling," Chloe purred, sliding into a chair, her green eyes glinting. "I brought the Preston Group's latest proposal. Thought I'd spice up your day." Maya's grip tightened on her pen. Chloe wasn't just a rich girl with a crush. She was Maya's half-sister, the daughter of Victor Preston, the man who ditched Maya's mom for a shinier model. Chloe had grown up with private jets while Maya and Marcus scraped by. Now she was circling Ethan like a shark, and Maya was in her crosshairs. Ethan barely glanced at Chloe's folder. "We'll review it later," he said, cool but polite. "Let's stay on track." Chloe's smile didn't waver, but her gaze slid to Maya. "Oh, Marcus, you're quiet today. Not overwhelmed, are you?" Her voice dripped with fake concern, loud enough to draw eyes. Maya swallowed, forcing a grin. "Just soaking it all in, Miss Preston. Lots to learn." I bet," Chloe said, leaning closer. "Stick around. Things get interesting here." The meeting dragged on, but Chloe wasn't done. As it wrapped, she lingered, accidentally, bumping into a junior analyst named Sarah as they filed out. Sarah's hand grazed Ethan's arm, and his face paled. Maya saw it coming. The telltale sway, the glassy look in his eyes. His allergy was kicking in, and fast. Without thinking, she jumped up, grabbing his elbow. "Boss, urgent report," she blurted, steering him toward the door. "Gotta show you now." Ethan blinked, disoriented, but followed her lead. They stumbled into the hallway and Maya practically dragged him to the elevator, her heart hammering. The doors slid shut, trapping them in a glass box overlooking the bay. Ethan leaned against the wall, breathing hard, his tie askew. "You okay, boss?" Maya asked, keeping her voice gruff. He nodded, rubbing his temple. "Yeah, thanks to you. That was close." He looked at her, eyes narrowing. "Quick thinking, Marcus. You're full of surprises." Maya's cap slipped and a curl of hair escaped. She froze, but before she could fix it, the elevator jolted, and her cap fell to the floor. Her curly hair spilled out, framing her face. Ethan's jaw dropped, and for a split second, she thought she was done for. But she snatched the cap, jamming it back on, and laughed awkwardly. "Bad haircut, boss. Don't judge." Ethan stared, then burst out laughing, the sound rich and unguarded. "Marcus, you're something else. Bad haircut, my ass. You look like you fought a lawnmower and won." Maya grinned, relief flooding her. "Gotta keep it low-key, you know? Tech life." The elevator dinged, and they stepped into the lobby, the moment fading but not forgotten. Ethan clapped her shoulder, again no reaction, and said, "Grab some lunch with me. You earned it." They ended up at a food truck parked by Embarcadero, the air thick with the smell of smoked brisket and BBQ sauce. Maya bit into a sandwich, sauce smearing her chin, and Ethan handed her a napkin, chuckling. "You eat like you mean it. I like that." She wiped her face, smirking. "Grew up on soul food, boss. This is just practice." He raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Soul food, huh? You gonna tell me you make a mean collard greens? Meaner than your encryption algorithms," she shot back, then froze, realizing she'd slipped into her real voice, warmer, smoother. Ethan didn't seem to notice, but his smile softened. "Tell you what," he said, leaning back against a bench, the bay sparkling behind him. "I'm a jazz guy. Grew up sneaking into clubs in the Mission. You ever listen to Miles Davis?" Maya's heart skipped. Jazz was her lifeline, her dad's legacy. "Kinda blue is my Bible. Concurrent modification exception," she said, careful to keep her tone gruff. "Davis had soul, you know. Spoke without saying a word." Ethan's eyes lit up. "Damn, Marcus, you're speaking my language. We gotta hit a jazz spot sometime. You in?" She nodded, her chest tight. "Yeah, boss. I'm in." The moment felt dangerous, like she was skating too close to the truth, but sitting there, with BBQ sauce on her fingers and Ethan's laugh in her ears, Maya felt something she hadn't in years. A spark. Not just attraction, though God, he was easy on the eyes, but a connection, like they'd known each other forever. Back at Apex, the day rolled on, but the spark lingered. Maya was filing reports when her phone buzzed. A text from Nia Brooks, her best friend and a journalist with a nose for trouble. "Chloe's sniffing around. Watch your back, girl." Maya's stomach sank. Nia had been her rock since high school, always ready with a quip or a bailout. If she was worried, Chloe was more than a nuisance. She was a threat. Across town, Nia sat in her cluttered Mission District apartment, digging through files on her laptop. At 28, she was a firecracker. Short dreads, bold lipstick, and a laugh that could stop traffic. She'd known Maya since they were kids, sneaking into jazz clubs and dreaming big. Now, she was chasing the lead on Chloe Preston, whose family had a trail of dirty deals longer than the Bay Bridge. Nia's latest scoop? Chloe had dated Marcus briefly in college, and when he dumped her for being controlling, she'd vowed revenge. Nia texted Maya again. "This chick's got a grudge. Stay sharp." Meanwhile, Ethan was in his office, on the phone with his grandmother, Lillian Caldwell. At 75, Lillian was a retired biochemist with a sharp tongue and sharper mind. She'd been the one to diagnose Ethan's condition years ago, a rare immune response that made women's touch a literal knockout. "You're telling me this new assistant doesn't trigger you?" Lillian asked, her voice crackling through the speaker. "Not a dizzy spell, nothing?" "Not a thing," Ethan said, spinning the star-charmed bracelet on his desk. "It's weird, Gran. Marcus is different." Lillian chuckled. "Different, huh? I told you, Ethan, there's one person out there who's your exception." "A genetic fluke, like finding a needle in a haystack. Maybe this Marcus is more than he seems." Ethan hung up, staring at the bracelet. 5 years ago, he'd woken in room 2408 at the Grand Pacific, head pounding, clothes askew, this bracelet on his wrist. No memory of the woman who'd left it, just a vague warmth, a whisper of safety. Could Marcus know something about that night? Nah, impossible. He shook it off, but the thought stuck like gum on a shoe. Back in Oakland, Maya collapsed onto the couch in her apartment, a tiny place filled with vinyl records and Leo's toys. Marcus, still pale from the flu, shuffled out of the bedroom, coughing. "How's my job?" he asked, flopping beside her. "Still yours, when you stop hacking up a lung," she said, tossing him a pillow. "But Ethan's intense, and Chloe Preston's on my tail." Marcus groaned. "Chloe? That psycho from college? Sis, she's bad news. Her dad's the one who screwed Mom over, you know that?" Maya nodded, her jaw tight. Victor Preston had walked out on their mom, a jazz singer with a voice like velvet, leaving her with 2 kids and a broken heart. Chloe had grown up in mansions. Maya and Marcus had grown up hustling. Now Chloe was back, and Maya was in her crosshairs. Leo toddled in, clutching a toy truck, his big eyes mirroring Maya's. "Auntie, sing," he demanded, climbing into her lap. She smiled, brushing his curls, and sang a soft verse of Summertime, her dad's favorite. Leo giggled, and for a moment, the weight lifted. This was why she was risking it all. For him. Across the city, Ethan sat in his Marina District loft, the bracelet cool against his fingers. Marcus's voice echoed in his head, talking jazz, cracking jokes. He'd felt something today, something he hadn't in years. Not just the absence of a blackout, but a pull, like gravity. He poured a glass of bourbon, staring at the city lights. "Who are you, Marcus Jackson?" he muttered, unaware that the answer would change everything. Maya Jackson was starting to think she'd bitten off more than she could chew. 3 days into her charade as Marcus, her twin brother, and she was already dodging landmines at Apex Innovations. Ethan Caldwell's freakish allergy to women made every moment a tightrope walk. One wrong step, and she'd be outed as a fraud. But the $50,000 a month paycheck was her lifeline to save Leo, her nephew, and no amount of stress was going to stop her. Still, as she rode the BART train to work, the foggy San Francisco skyline blurring past, she muttered, "Lord, give me strength, or at least better deodorant." The Apex office was a pressure cooker, all glass walls and egos sharper than a chef's knife. Maya adjusted her cap, her curly hair stuffed tight underneath, and checked her binder in the bathroom mirror. Her reflection looked convincing enough. Broad shoulders, loose jeans, and a voice she'd practiced to sound like Marcus's gravelly baritone. But her brown eyes betrayed her, wide with the kind of panic only a double life could spark. She splashed water on her face, whispering, "You got this, Maya." For Leo. Ethan's office was her first stop, and the sight of him didn't help her nerves. He was leaning against his desk, sleeves rolled up, scrolling through his tablet with a frown that made him look like a grumpy professor. The morning light caught his dark hair, and Maya cursed herself for noticing. This was her boss, not a jazz club heartthrob. She cleared her throat, gruff and low. "Morning, boss. Got those reports you wanted?" Ethan looked up, his blue eyes softening. "Marcus, you're a lifesaver. I swear you're the only one keeping me sane this week." He gestured to a chair. "Sit. We've got a storm coming." Maya sat, her heart doing a little tap dance. "Storm? What kind? Tech or people?" "Both," he said, handing her a coffee. "Black, just like yesterday. Chloe Preston's pushing her dad's merger deal again, and the board's eating it up. Plus, our new platform's got bugs the size of my ego." He grinned, and Maya couldn't help but smirk back. "Big ego, huh? Didn't notice," she said, her fake voice steady but teasing. Ethan laughed, a sound that warmed the room. "Careful, Marcus. Keep that up, and I'll make you my permanent wingman." Maya's stomach flipped. Wingman. She was barely keeping her cover, let alone ready to be his buddy. But before she could respond, the intercom buzzed. "Mr. Caldwell, Ms. Preston's here," the receptionist said, her tone wary. Ethan sighed. "Send her in." Chloe Preston strode in like she owned the place, her blonde hair bouncing, her red dress hugging every curve. She carried a leather portfolio she didn't bother opening, her green eyes locking onto Maya with a predator's focus. "Ethan, I've got updates on the merger," she said, voice syrupy. "And Marcus, how's our new star doing? Not buckling under pressure, I hope?" Maya gripped her mug, forcing a grin. "Doing fine, Ms. Preston. Just keeping the boss in line." Chloe's smile was all teeth. "Good. We need reliable people around Ethan. No secrets, no surprises." The jab landed, but Maya didn't flinch. Ethan, oblivious to the undercurrent, waved Chloe to a seat. "Let's hear it, Chloe. Make it quick." The meeting was a blur of numbers and buzzwords, but Chloe's real game started after. As they headed to the boardroom for a team briefing, she orchestrated chaos. She tripped, bumping into a junior analyst named Tara, who stumbled into Ethan. His face went pale, his knees wobbling, the allergy kicking in. Maya reacted on instinct, grabbing his arm and pulling him into the hallway. "Need you for a sec, boss," she said, loud enough to cover the gasps. They ducked into a conference room, Ethan leaning against the table, breathing hard. "Thanks, Marcus," he said, voice shaky. "That was too close." Maya nodded, her pulse racing. "No problem, boss. Gotta keep you upright." He looked at her, eyes searching. "You're quick, you know that? Most guys would have frozen." She shrugged, tugging her cap lower. "Just doing my job." But her heart was screaming. Too close, too close. Chloe had set that up, she was sure of it. The woman was a bloodhound, sniffing out her secret. The rest of the day was a grind, but Chloe wasn't done. She cornered Maya at a team happy hour that evening, a casual mixer in Apex's lounge. The space was all sleek leather and neon lights, with a playlist heavy on Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Employees mingled, sipping craft beers and trading tech gossip. Maya stuck to the edges, nursing a soda, her cap pulled low. She'd rather be home with Leo singing him to sleep, but Ethan had insisted she come. "Team bonding," he'd said, like it wasn't a minefield. Chloe sidled up, a glass of rosé in hand, her smile venomous. "Marcus, you're so quiet tonight," she said, loud enough to draw eyes. "Not shy, are you? I bet you're a hit with the ladies." Maya's stomach dropped. "Not really my scene," she muttered, keeping her voice gruff. "Just here for the free snacks." Chloe laughed, sharp and cold. "Oh, come on. Let's have some fun." She turned, calling to a group of women by the bar. "Hey, ladies, our new guy Marcus needs a warm welcome. Who's up for a hug?" The women giggled, drifting closer, their perfume hitting Maya like a wall. If they touched her, if Ethan saw, her cover was toast. Thinking fast, she grabbed a tray of sliders from a table, holding it up like a shield. "How about I serve instead?" she said, voice cracking. She shoved burgers into hands, dodging arms and laughs, until Tara, the analyst from earlier, swooped in. "Back off, y'all," Tara said, looping an arm around Maya's shoulders. "Marcus is taken, okay? Let the man breathe." She winked, and Maya exhaled, grateful for the save. Chloe's eyes narrowed, her plan thwarted, but Maya saw the wheels turning. She wasn't giving up. Across the room, Ethan watched, sipping a ginger ale, his brow furrowed. He'd seen Marcus dodge those women like a pro, but there was a tremor in his stance, a flicker of fear. It didn't add up. Most guys would have eaten up the attention, not run from it. The mixer wound down, but the tension followed Maya back to Ethan's office. They had to prep for a late-night investor call, and the quiet of the empty floor felt heavy. Ethan sat at his desk, the city lights casting shadows across his face. Maya stood by the printer sorting papers, her nerves frayed. Chloe's stunt had shaken her, and Ethan's silence wasn't helping. "Marcus," he said finally, breaking the quiet, "you were a ninja out there tonight. What's the deal? You got a girlfriend you're staying loyal to or what?" Maya's heart skipped. "Nah, boss, just Not into crowds. She kept her eyes on the papers, praying he'd drop it. He didn't. He stood, walking over to hand her a pen she'd dropped. Their fingers brushed, and the air crackled. Maya froze, her breath catching as Ethan's hand lingered a beat too long. His eyes locked onto hers, intense, searching, like he could see through her cap, her binder, her lies. "You're different, Marcus," he said, voice low. "I don't know why, but you are." Her mouth went dry. The room felt too small, the space between them electric. She could smell his cologne, sandalwood, sharp and warm, and her body betrayed her, leaning closer, just a fraction. Ethan's gaze dropped to her lips, and for one wild second, she thought he might close the gap. But she jerked back, muttering, "Gotta finish these, boss," and bolted to the filing cabinet, her heart slamming against her ribs. Ethan blinked, like he'd been snapped out of a trance. "Right. Yeah. Let's get it done." He sat down, rubbing his neck, clearly rattled. Maya worked in silence, her mind a mess. That moment, what the hell was that? She was supposed to be Marcus, his bro, not some rom-com lead catching feelings. But Ethan's touch, his voice, the way he looked at her, it was dangerous. And worse, he hadn't collapsed. Not a flinch. It didn't make sense, and it scared her more than Chloe's schemes. Back in Oakland, Maya collapsed onto her couch, the apartment quiet except for Marcus's snoring in the next room. Leo was asleep, his toy truck tucked under his arm. She pulled out her phone, texting Nia, "Chloe's coming for me." And Ethan? "Something's up. He's not reacting to me." Nia's reply was instant. "Girl, Chloe's a snake. But Ethan? Maybe he's into Marcus more than you think. Stay sharp." Maya groaned, tossing her phone aside. Nia was joking, but the truth was messier. Ethan wasn't just her boss. He was a puzzle, one she wasn't sure she could solve without breaking everything. Across town, Ethan sat in his loft, the star-charmed bracelet glinting on his desk. He'd called his doctor after the mixer, pushing for answers. "Congenital allergy, yes," the doc had said. "But there's an exception. One person who won't trigger you. A genetic fluke. You'll know when you don't hit the floor." Ethan stared at the bracelet, his mind replaying that moment with Marcus. The brush of fingers, the locked eyes, the heat in his chest. It wasn't just the absence of a blackout. It was something more. Something that felt like fate. He poured a bourbon, the city lights blurring outside. "Marcus Jackson," he muttered. "What are you hiding?" In her Pacific Heights penthouse, Chloe Preston paced, her martini glass empty. She'd seen the panic in Marcus's eyes at the mixer, the way he'd dodged those women. He wasn't just shy. He was hiding something big. She remembered Marcus from college, the charming coder who dumped her without a backward glance. But this Marcus? Something was off. She tapped her manicured nails on the counter, a plan forming. If he thought he could infiltrate Apex and steal Ethan, he was about to learn. Chloe Preston didn't lose. Maya, unaware of the storm brewing, fell asleep on her couch, Leo's blanket draped over her. She dreamed of jazz clubs, star-charmed bracelets, and Ethan's eyes, blue as the bay, pulling her under. Tomorrow, she'd face Chloe's next move, Ethan's growing suspicion, and her own traitor heart. For now, she held on to one truth. She was in too deep, and there was no turning back. Maya Jackson was officially in over her head. 4 days into her masquerade as her twin brother Marcus at Apex Innovations, and the cracks were showing. Pretending to be a guy while dodging Ethan Caldwell's allergy to women was hard enough. But Chloe Preston's relentless scheming was like trying to outrun a hurricane in flip-flops. Still, Maya wasn't backing down. Leo, her 4-year-old nephew, needed her to keep this $50,000 a month job to cover his medical bills. As she stepped off the BART train into the San Francisco morning fog, she muttered, "One foot in front of the other, Maya. Don't trip now." The Apex office hummed with its usual chaos. Coders hunched over laptops, interns juggling coffee orders, and the faint whiff of ambition in the air. Maya adjusted her baseball cap, her curls tightly tucked, and checked her binder in the restroom. Her reflection screamed stress. Bags under her brown eyes, jaw clenched like she was bracing for a punch. She splashed water on her face, whispering, "For Leo. You're doing this for Leo?" Ethan's office was her first stop, and the sight of him hit her like a rogue wave. He was pacing, phone to his ear, his dark hair mussed like he'd run his hands through it a dozen times. His tie hung loose, and the top button of his shirt was undone, revealing a sliver of collarbone that Maya definitely didn't notice. She cleared her throat, forcing her voice into Marcus's gruff tone. "Morning, boss. Got the investor brief you asked for." Ethan hung up, flashing a tired grin. "Marcus, you're a godsend. I'm drowning here." He gestured to a chair. "Sit. We've got a fire to put out." Maya sat, her heart doing its usual tap dance around Ethan. "What's the damage this time?" "Server crash on the new platform," he said, rubbing his temple. "And Chloe's dad is breathing down my neck about that merger. I need you to pull the bug reports and charm the tech team into not quitting." "Charm's my middle name," Maya said, winking before she could stop herself. Ethan laughed, and the sound warmed her like a shot of bourbon. She cursed inwardly. Flirting was not part of the plan. The morning was a blur of meetings and emails, but trouble struck at noon. Maya was in the break room, grabbing a coffee, when her phone buzzed with a call from Marcus. His voice was frantic. "Maya, it's Leo. He's having an episode. Neighbor lady brushed past him and he's wheezing bad. I'm taking him to the ER, but you gotta get here." Her stomach plummeted. "I'm coming," she said, already moving. She bolted to Ethan's office, barely knocking. "Boss, family emergency. I gotta go." Ethan looked up, concern etching his face. "Everything okay?" "It's my nephew," she said, voice cracking. "He's sick. I need to—" "Go!" Ethan cut in, standing. "I'm coming with you." Maya froze. "What? No, you don't—" "Marcus, you're shaking," he said, grabbing his jacket. "I'm not letting you deal with this alone. Let's move." She didn't have time to argue. They raced to his car, a sleek Tesla that smelled like leather and money, and sped toward UCSF Medical Center. Ethan drove like a man on a mission, weaving through traffic while Maya clutched her phone, texting Marcus for updates. Her cap sat crooked, but she didn't care. Leo was all that mattered. At the hospital, the ER was a blur of beeping monitors and antiseptic. Marcus met them in the waiting room, pale and disheveled, his flu barely gone. "He's stable," he said, hugging Maya. "But it was bad, sis. They're running tests." Ethan stood back, giving them space, but his eyes were on Maya, sharp and steady. "Your nephew, he's got the same condition as me, doesn't he?" he asked, voice low. Maya nodded, too raw to lie. "Yeah, rare allergy. Triggers when women touch him." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Let me see him." They followed a nurse to Leo's room, where the 4-year-old lay in a too-big bed, an oxygen mask dwarfing his face. His curls were damp, but his eyes lit up when he saw Maya. "Auntie," he mumbled, voice muffled. She knelt beside him, brushing his cheek. "Hey, buddy. You're tougher than Spider-Man, you know that?" She sang a soft verse of Summertime, her dad's favorite jazz standard, and Leo's breathing eased, a small smile breaking through. Ethan watched, his expression unreadable. "He's a fighter," he said, stepping closer. "Mind if I sit with him?" Maya hesitated, then nodded. Ethan sat, pulling a chair close, and started talking to Leo about trucks. Leo's obsession. "Bet you got a whole fleet at home, huh?" Ethan said, his voice gentle. Leo giggled, nodding, and Maya's heart ached. Ethan was good with him, natural, like he'd been practicing for years. The doctor came in, a kind-eyed woman who kept her distance from Ethan. "Leo's stable, but he needs regular treatments," she said. "The allergy's manageable, but it's lifelong." Maya swallowed, the weight of the bills crashing down. Marcus squeezed her shoulder, whispering, "We'll figure it out, sis." Ethan stood, his gaze intense. "I'm covering the costs," he said, no room for argument. "No kid should go through this without help." Maya's eyes stung. "Boss, you don't have to." "I want to," he said, softer now. "Let me do this, Marcus." She nodded, too choked up to speak. They left Leo to rest, stepping into the hallway. The fluorescent lights buzzed and the air felt heavy, charged. Ethan turned to Maya, his voice low. "You're a hell of a uncle, Marcus, the way you sang to him. It got me right here." He tapped his chest, his eyes locked on hers. Maya's breath hitched. The hallway was empty, the world shrinking to just them. "Just doing what I gotta do," she said, her fake voice faltering, slipping into her real one, warm, smooth, unmistakably hers. Ethan stepped closer, his cologne wrapping around her like a spell. "You're more than that," he said, his hand brushing her arm. The touch was light, but it sent a jolt through her, warm and electric. He didn't collapse, didn't flinch, and his eyes darkened, like he felt it too. "Why don't I react to you, Marcus? What's your secret?" Her heart pounded, her lips parting, but no words came. He was so close, his breath warm against her cheek, his hand still on her arm, steady, grounding. For one wild moment, she thought he might kiss her, cap, binder, and all. Her body leaned in, traitor that it was, and his gaze dropped to her mouth, intense, hungry. But reality slammed back. She pulled away, muttering, "No secret, boss. Just lucky, I guess." Ethan blinked, like he'd been doused with cold water. "Yeah, lucky." He stepped back, rubbing his neck, clearly rattled. "Let's check on Leo." Maya nodded, her pulse still racing. That moment, what the hell was she thinking? She was Marcus, his assistant, not some star-crossed lover. But Ethan's touch, his voice, the way he'd looked at Leo, it was unraveling her, one thread at a time. Back in Oakland, Maya got a text from Nia Brooks, her journalist best friend. Big news. Found dirt on Chloe. She and her dad spiked Ethan's drink 5 years ago at the Grand Pacific Gala. "You were there, Maya. Same night, same drug. Call me." Maya's blood ran cold. She'd been a temp waitress at that gala, her drink tasting bitter before she blacked out. She'd woken beside Ethan, terrified, and fled, leaving her mom's star-charmed bracelet behind. Was it possible they'd both been played? She called Nia, her voice shaking. "You're saying Chloe set us up?" "Girl, I'm saying Chloe's dad wanted Ethan's company," Nia said, her voice crackling with excitement. "They drugged him to get leverage, maybe blackmail. You were collateral damage. I've got emails, Maya, Victor Preston's orders. We can nail her." Maya's mind raced. If this was true, Chloe wasn't just a threat. She was a mastermind. And the bracelet? Ethan had kept it all these years, a clue to a night neither of them fully remembered. At home, Maya confronted Marcus, who was microwaving leftover BBQ. "You knew about Dad, didn't you?" she demanded, arms crossed. "Victor Preston, our father. He's the one who left Mom for Chloe's mom." Marcus sighed, setting down his plate. "Yeah, I knew. Didn't want to hurt you, sis. He's a snake, always was. When I dated Chloe in college, I saw it. Her whole family's rotten." Maya's jaw clenched. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you were already carrying the world," he said, eyes soft. Mom's gone, Leo's sick, and I'm a mess. You didn't need more pain. She wanted to be mad, but she couldn't. Marcus was her rock, flu and all. We're telling Ethan, she said. Chloe's going down. Across town, Ethan was in his Marina District loft, the star-charmed bracelet glinting under his desk lamp. He'd dug through old files after the hospital, pulling a photo from the Grand Pacific Gala 5 years ago. It was blurry but clear enough. A black woman slipping out of room 2408, her hair tucked under a hood, the bracelet catching the light. His heart thudded. Marcus had been at the hospital singing jazz to Leo, dodging questions with that nervous grin. And today, in the hallway, that touch, that look, it wasn't just a fluke. Marcus wasn't who he said he was. Ethan called his grandmother Lillian Caldwell, her voice sharp despite the late hour. Gran, that exception you talked about, the one person I don't react to, what if they're not a guy? Lillian chuckled. Took you long enough, Ethan. Your Marcus sounds like a woman to me. Question is, what are you going to do about it? He hung up, staring at the photo. If Marcus was her, the woman from that night, the one tied to his past, what did it mean? And why was she hiding? In her penthouse, Chloe Preston sipped a martini, scrolling through a private investigator's report. Marcus Jackson's ID checked out, but something was off. His social media was too quiet, his records too clean. She remembered him from college, cocky and charming. But this Marcus? He flinched at her touch, dodged women like they were plague carriers. She smirked, dialing her PI. Dig deeper, she said. I want everything on Marcus Jackson, and his sister Maya. They're hiding something, and I'm going to bury them. Maya, back in her apartment, sat by Leo's bed, watching him sleep. His tiny chest rose and fell, steady now, but the fear lingered. She'd almost lost him today, and Ethan, God, Ethan had been there, solid as a rock. That moment in the hallway, his hand on her arm, his eyes pulling her in, it was too much. She was falling, and she couldn't afford to, not when Chloe was circling, not when Leo needed her, not when the truth about that night 5 years ago was clawing its way to the surface. She whispered to herself, one more day, Maya, just one more. But deep down, she knew the storm was coming, and it was going to hit hard. Maya Jackson was running on fumes, 5 days into her high-stakes charade as her twin brother Marcus at Apex Innovations, and the world was closing in. Chloe Preston's schemes were tightening like a noose. Ethan Caldwell's piercing blue eyes were seeing too much, and Leo, her 4-year-old nephew, was the only thing keeping her from crumbling. The $50,000 a month job was her lifeline to save him, but every step felt like dancing on a razor's edge. As she boarded the BART train to work, the San Francisco fog thick as her thoughts, she muttered, Hold it together, Maya, for Leo. The Apex office was a pressure cooker, all sleek glass and restless energy. Maya adjusted her baseball cap, her curls stuffed tight, and checked her binder in the restroom. Her reflection looked like a soldier headed to battle, brown eyes fierce but weary, jaw set against the storm. She splashed water on her face, whispering, One more day. You can do this. Ethan's office was her first stop, and he was already there, hunched over his laptop, the star-charmed bracelet glinting on his desk. His dark hair fell into his eyes, and his rolled-up sleeves showed forearms that Maya really wished she didn't notice. He looked up, his grin softening the tension in her chest. Marcus, you're early. Ready to save my ass again? She forced a chuckle, keeping her voice gruff. Born ready, boss. What's the crisis today? Investor call at noon, he said, handing her a coffee, black like always. And Chloe's pushing her merger harder than a used car salesman. I need you to pull the financials and keep me from losing it. Got you, Maya said, taking the mug, careful not to brush his fingers. Her heart did a little flip when his eyes lingered, curious, like he was trying to crack a code. She tugged her cap lower, praying he didn't see the truth in her gaze. The morning was a grind, but trouble hit like a freight train at lunch. Maya was in the break room grabbing a soda when her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. A video loaded. Leo, wide-eyed and trembling, tied to a chair in a dim room. A gloved hand held a note. Leave Apex by 5 p.m. or the kid doesn't come home. Chloe's voice purred in the background. Don't test me, Marcus. Maya's knees buckled, the phone slipping from her hand. She caught it, her breath ragged, and bolted to Ethan's office, barely knocking. Boss, I need you, she gasped, her fake voice cracking. Ethan stood, concern etching his face. Marcus, what's wrong? It's Leo, she said, voice shaking. Someone's got him. I need help. Ethan didn't hesitate. Show me. She played the video and his jaw clenched, fury flashing in his eyes. Chloe, he growled. This has her stink all over it. We're getting him back. Maya nodded, tears stinging her eyes. I can't lose him, Ethan. You won't, he said, grabbing his keys. Let's go. They raced to Ethan's Tesla, Maya texting Marcus on the way. Leo's been taken. Meet us at Apex. Bring Nia. Marcus replied instantly. On my way. Stay safe, sis. Ethan drove like a man possessed, weaving through traffic, while Maya called Nia Brooks, her journalist best friend. Nia, Chloe's got Leo, she said, voice breaking. We need you. On it, Nia said, her voice steel. I've got a tracker app on your phone from that one time you lost it at the Jazz Fest. It's pinging near an old warehouse in West Oakland. I'm sending the address. Maya's heart pounded. You're a lifesaver, Nia. Damn right, Nia said. Go get our boy. The warehouse was a crumbling relic, surrounded by rusted shipping containers and graffiti. Dusk settled over Oakland, the air heavy with salt and oil. Ethan parked a block away, his eyes scanning the shadows. Marcus and Nia pulled up in Marcus's beat-up Honda, Nia's dreads bouncing as she jumped out, laptop in hand. Got a lock on the signal, she said. Leo's inside. Maya's hands shook, but her voice was steady. We go in quiet. Marcus, you and Nia take the back. Ethan, with me. Ethan nodded, his hand brushing her shoulder, steady, warm, no reaction. We've got this, Marcus. She swallowed, the weight of her lie heavier than ever. They crept toward the warehouse, the only sound the distant hum of the bay. A side door creaked open, revealing a cavernous space lit by flickering bulbs. 2 goons stood guard, beefy guys with tattoos and bad attitudes. In the center, Leo sat tied to a chair, his tiny face pale but defiant. Maya's heart lurched, but she held back, signaling Ethan to wait. One goon was on his phone, muttering about the boss lady. Chloe wasn't here. She was too smart for that. But her fingerprints were everywhere. Maya's eyes locked on Leo, and an idea hit. She whispered to Ethan, I'm gonna distract them. Get ready to move. Before he could argue, she stepped into the light, cap pulled low, and started singing, loud, bold, her dad's jazz standard. My Funny Valentine filled the warehouse, her voice rich and haunting. The goons froze, confused, and Leo's eyes lit up, a giggle escaping. Auntie, he called, giving her away. The goons lunged, but Maya was ready. She grabbed a metal pipe from the floor, swinging it like a bat, knocking one guy's phone away. Ethan tackled the other, his CEO polish gone, replaced by raw fury. Marcus and Nia burst in from the back, Nia wielding a taser she'd borrowed from a source. Back off, losers, she shouted, zapping the second goon, who crumpled with a yelp. Maya reached Leo, cutting his ropes with a pocket knife. You okay, buddy? She asked, pulling him into her arms. He nodded, clinging to her. You sang funny, Auntie. She laughed, tears streaming. Yeah, kid. Gotta work on my set list. Ethan joined them, his face bruised but grinning. Nice pipes, Marcus. You moonlight at jazz clubs or what? Maya's heart skipped, but before she could answer, Marcus grabbed her arm. We gotta go. Cops are on the way. They piled into Ethan's car, Leo in Maya's lap, Naya and Marcus following in the Honda. Rain started to fall, streaking the windows as they sped back to San Francisco. Ethan glanced at Maya, his voice low. You were incredible back there. Leo's lucky to have you. She looked at him, the weight of everything, Leo, Chloe, her lie, crashing down. Ethan, there's something I need to tell you. He raised an eyebrow, rain glinting on his face. What's that? She took a deep breath, her voice trembling, no longer gruff. I'm not Marcus. I'm Maya, his sister. Ethan's eyes widened, the car swerving slightly before he steadied it. What? I took his place, she said, words tumbling out. He was sick, and Leo needed the money. I'm a woman, Ethan. I've been lying to you. He stared ahead, knuckles white on the wheel, rain pounding the roof. For a moment, she thought he'd pull over, kick her out, end it all. But then he laughed, a low, disbelieving sound. Maya, he said, testing the name. That explains everything. Everything? She asked, heart racing. He glanced at her, eyes burning. Why I don't collapse when you touch me. Why I can't stop thinking about you. Why you're the only one who feels right. Her breath caught, the air between them electric. The rain blurred the world outside, and Leo's soft snores filled the car. Ethan pulled into a deserted lot by the bay, turning to face her. Maya, I don't care who you pretended to be. You saved Leo. You saved me. And He stopped, his hand reaching for hers, warm and steady. She didn't pull away. His touch sent a shiver through her. Not fear, but something deeper, wilder. Ethan, I lied to you, she whispered. I thought you'd hate me. Hate you? He leaned closer, his cologne, sandalwood and rain wrapping around her. Maya, you're the only thing keeping me sane. Their faces were inches apart, the car a cocoon against the storm. His hand cupped her cheek, thumb brushing her skin, and her body betrayed her, leaning in. His lips met hers, fierce and hungry, a kiss that burned away the lies, the fear, the distance. It was rain-soaked, desperate, tasting of coffee and salt, and Maya melted into it, her hands gripping his shirt. No dizziness, no collapse. Just him, solid and real. They pulled back, breathless, foreheads touching. You're gonna be the death of me, she said, half laughing, her voice her own, warm, unguarded. Worth it, he grinned, kissing her again, softer this time, a promise in every touch. Leo stirred, mumbling, Auntie, you okay? Maya laughed, brushing his curls. Yeah, buddy, better than okay. Ethan drove them to her Oakland apartment where Marcus and Naya were waiting. Marcus hugged Leo tight, his eyes red. You scared me, kid, he said, then turned to Maya. You okay, sis? She nodded, Ethan's hand still in hers. Yeah, but Chloe's not done. Naya, scrolling her laptop, piped up. Oh, she's toast. I leaked those emails to TechCrunch. Victor Preston's orders to drug Ethan 5 years ago. The internet's eating it up. Maya's jaw dropped. Nia, you're a menace. Proud of it, Naya grinned, tossing her dreads. Ethan's phone buzzed, a security alert from Apex. Chloe's at the gala tomorrow. he said, voice grim. She's planning something big. We need to end this. Maya nodded, her resolve steel. Then we hit her where it hurts. At the gala. Back in his loft, Ethan sat with the star-charmed bracelet, the gala photo beside it. Maya's confession had flipped his world. She was the woman from that night, drugged, scared, leaving the bracelet he'd kept like a talisman. And Leo? His blood type, his allergy, his curls, they matched Ethan's. He called his grandmother, Lillian Caldwell, her voice sharp through the phone. "Gran, Leo's mine, isn't he?" "Sounds like it," Lillian said. "That Maya's a keeper, Ethan. Don't screw this up." He laughed, but his heart was heavy. Tomorrow at the gala, he'd face Chloe, expose her, and claim his family. But the bracelet felt heavier now, a reminder of the night that bound them, and the fight still ahead. In her penthouse, Chloe Preston watched the TechCrunch article go viral, her martini glass shattering against the wall. Her PI had confirmed it. Marcus was Maya, a woman, infiltrating Apex. She smirked, dialing her father. "We're not done, Daddy. Tomorrow at the gala, I'll ruin them all." Maya, in her apartment, tucked Leo into bed, singing Summertime, until he slept. Ethan's kiss lingered on her lips, a fire she couldn't quench. Tomorrow, she'd face Chloe, the truth, and the man who'd turned her world upside down. She whispered to herself, "No turning back now." The gala loomed, a battlefield where everything, Leo, Ethan, her heart, hung in the balance. The Fairmont Hotel's ballroom was a dazzling cage, all twinkling chandeliers and whispered power plays. San Francisco's tech titans glided through the gala, their tailored suits and sequined gowns catching the light like polished armor. A jazz quartet spun a smoky rendition of Blue in Green, the saxophone curling through the air, mingling with the clink of champagne flutes and the scent of ambition, cologne, perfume, and cold cash. Maya Jackson stood at the edge of the chaos, her heart hammering like a jackhammer. Her black silk dress clung to her curves, her curly hair cascading free after weeks of being stuffed under a cap. No binder, no Marcus, just Maya, exposed, vulnerable, and ready to fight. Ethan Caldwell commanded the stage, his presence silencing the room like a flipped switch. At 32, he was Apex Innovation's untouchable CEO, his sharp jawline and dark hair catching every eye. But his blue eyes weren't scanning for investors tonight. They were locked on Maya, burning with a resolve that made her knees weak. In his hand, the star-charmed bracelet gleamed, a fragile link to a night 5 years ago that had changed everything. "Tonight," he said, voice low and steady, cutting through the hush. "You'll see the truth about who tried to break me, and who saved me." The massive screen behind him flared to life, projecting grainy security footage from the Grand Pacific Gala 5 years ago. Chloe Preston, blonde and venomous, poured a vial into a glass of champagne, her movements precise, calculated. She passed it to a waiter, who delivered it to a younger Ethan, oblivious and laughing. The crowd gasped as the video shifted. Chloe dragging a dazed Ethan into room 2408, her smile ablade. Then another angle. A black woman, hood up, slipping out of the same room, the star-charmed bracelet catching the light as she dropped it and vanished. Maya's breath hitched, the memory slamming into her. That night, drugged and terrified, waking beside Ethan, fleeing with nothing but shame and her mother's bracelet left behind. Chloe Preston and her father, Victor, thought they could own Apex, Ethan said, his gaze slicing to Chloe, who stood rigid in a white gown, her green eyes darting like a cornered animal's. "They drugged me to manipulate me, to steal my company. But they didn't plan on Maya Jackson." His voice softened, raw with something deeper than anger. "She was there that night, Another victim of their game. She's the mother of my son, Leo, and she's the woman I've been chasing ever since. The room exploded. Shouts, claps, gasps. Chloe's face twisted, and she lunged for the projector, shrieking, "You can't prove anything!" But Maya stepped forward, her voice cutting through the chaos like a whip. "Sit down, Chloe," Maya said, her tone steel, her Oakland grit shining through. "You've been playing dirty since we were kids, but this, kidnapping my nephew, drugging us, you're done." Chloe froze, the crowd's eyes pinning her. "You're nothing, Maya," she spat, voice venomous. "A nobody from nowhere, stealing what's mine." Maya's laugh was sharp, unshaken. "Yours? Ethan's not a prize, Chloe. He's a man, one you'll never understand. And Leo, he's my heart. You messed with the wrong family." Security closed in, grabbing Chloe as she screamed, her gown dragging like a broken wing. Victor Preston stormed through the crowd, his face red, bellowing about lawyers, but Ethan's cold stare stopped him. "Your empire's crumbling, Victor," Ethan said. "Take your daughter and go." Maya's chest heaved, adrenaline fading, leaving her raw. Ethan was at her side, his hand finding hers, warm and steady. No dizziness, no collapse. His allergy, the curse that floored him at a woman's touch, had never touched her. He leaned close, voice a whisper against the roar. "Marry me, Maya. Right here. Right now." Her eyes widened, tears brimming, but a laugh bubbled up, bright and disbelieving. "You've lost your damn mind, Caldwell." "Probably," he grinned, slipping the bracelet onto her wrist, where it clicked against its twin, the one she'd worn since that night. "Say yes, Maya. Be my home." Nia Brooks, Maya's best friend, hollered from the crowd, "Girl, snatch that ring before I do. This man's got a loft and a heart." The room laughed, tension breaking, and Maya, heart pounding, nodded. "Yes, you crazy fool." "Yes." The officiant, a nervous guy in a black suit who'd been hovering by the abandoned wedding setup, stumbled forward, clutching his book like a lifeline. Ethan held Maya's hand, his thumb tracing her knuckles, and the crowd hushed as the vows began. "Do you, Ethan Caldwell, take Maya Jackson to be your wife?" the officiant asked, voice wobbling. "I do," Ethan said, his gaze unwavering like she was the only thing in the world. "And you, Maya Jackson, take Ethan Caldwell to be your husband?" "I do," she said, her voice strong, the weight of her lies, her fears, dissolving. The kiss was a revelation. Ethan's lips warm, urgent, pulling her into a space where time stopped. No allergy, no shadows, just them. The crowd erupted, glasses clinking, and Nia shouted, "That's my sister!" "Now, where's the cake?" As Chloe was dragged away, her screams fading, Maya leaned into Ethan, whispering, "You're gonna regret this when you see my vinyl collection." He chuckled, kissing her forehead. Worth every record. Later that night, Maya and Ethan slipped away to her Oakland apartment, where Marcus waited with Leo. The 5-year-old was curled on the couch, his toy truck clutched tight, his curls a perfect echo of Ethan's. He'd been shaken by the kidnapping, but was steady now, his big eyes lighting up when Maya walked in. "Auntie," he called, running to her. She scooped him up, kissing his cheek. "Hey, buddy, told you I'd bring the cavalry." Her eyes flicked to Ethan, who knelt beside them, hesitant but warm. "Hey, Leo," Ethan said, voice soft. "I'm Ethan, your dad." Leo tilted his head, studying him, then grinned, holding out his truck. "Want to play?" Ethan's laugh was shaky, relieved. "Yeah, kid, let's roll." He sat cross-legged on the floor, Leo piling trucks into his lap, and Maya watched, her heart swelling. Love, pride, a future she'd never dared dream. Marcus sprawled in a chair, sipping a soda. "So, boss," he said, smirking, "you stealing my sister for good, or do I still got a job?" Ethan grinned, tossing a toy tire at him. "You're stuck with me, Marcus. Apex needs you, and Leo needs his uncle." Maya elbowed Marcus, laughing. "Don't push it, bro. You're on diaper duty if you keep sassing." The room felt like home. Leo's giggles, Marcus's banter, Ethan's steady presence, but a shadow lingered. Earlier, at the gala, Ethan had felt a faint dizziness when a waitress brushed past, a flicker of the allergy he thought was gone. He hadn't told Maya, not wanting to dim her light, but it gnawed at him. The next morning, the news hit like a tidal wave. Chloe's arrest dominated headlines, her mugshot plastered across every site from TechCrunch to TMZ. Victor Preston's empire took a nosedive, his deals evaporating as Apex severed ties. Naya's leaked emails had done their work, painting the Prestons as frauds. Lillian Caldwell, Ethan's grandmother, called from Napa, her voice crackling with approval. "Ethan, you picked a fighter in Maya. Bring her and that boy up here soon. I want to teach Leo about grapevines." Ethan smiled, watching Maya make oatmeal for Leo in the loft's kitchen. "Soon, Gran. They're my world now." Weeks later, life found a rhythm. Ethan moved Maya and Leo into his Marina District loft, its bay views framing their new beginning. Leo's room overflowed with trucks and crayons, his treatments funded by Apex's insurance, his allergy managed with care. Maya embraced her truth. No more caps, just vibrant dresses and hoop earrings, her hair a crown of curls. She was halfway through her book, Starlight Secrets, pouring her story into pages that would soon shake the literary world. One night, on the loft's balcony, the city glittering below, Ethan pulled Maya close, his hands tracing her waist. "You changed everything," he said, voice low. "I was a ghost before you, Maya. Now, I'm alive." She leaned into him, her smile teasing. "Careful, Caldwell. You're getting sappy on me." "Sappy's my new brand," he said, kissing her, a slow, deep burn that left her breathless, her fingers tangling in his hair. The bracelets clinked, a matched pair, a vow unspoken. But the shadow grew. Lillian had warned Ethan days ago, her voice grave. "Your allergy's a wild card, Ethan. Maya's your exception, but the trigger's unstable. It could flare again. Get tested." He'd brushed it off, but the dizziness was more frequent now, faint, fleeting, but real. At a coffee shop, a barista's hand grazed his, and his vision blurred. At a meeting, a colleague's pat on the back left him dizzy. He hid it, but Maya's sharp eyes missed nothing. One evening, as they tucked Leo into bed, Ethan swayed, steadying himself on the doorframe. Maya's hand found his, her voice firm. "Talk to me, Ethan. What's going on?" He sighed, the truth spilling out. "The allergy. It's flickering. Lillian says it might come back. I don't know what that means for us." Her heart clenched, but she squeezed his hand, the bracelets cool against their skin. "Then we fight it," she said. "Together. Like we fought Chloe. Like we fought for Leo. You're not alone anymore." He pulled her into a kiss, fierce and anchoring, his lips tasting of fear and fire. "You're my miracle," he whispered. "No matter what." The story didn't end there. A year later, at the Oakland Jazz Festival, Maya sang under the stars, Ethan and Leo cheering, Marcus and Nia tossing popcorn. Starlight Secrets was a bestseller, Apex soared, and Leo thrived. But the dizziness haunted Ethan, a ghost in their perfect world. They stood together, hands clasped, Leo's laughter ringing, the bracelets gleaming, a family forged in chaos, stronger for it. The future was uncertain, the allergy a question mark. But Maya's voice, singing Summertime, was a promise. They'd face whatever came, side by side under the endless sky. Hey, if you're still reeling from Maya and Ethan's epic love story, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment. Will Ethan's allergy tear them apart? Or is their love stronger than any glitch? Tell me your thoughts. I'm all ears.